Hi everyone, Cranberry Alarm here for our day 2 recap. Unbelievable how fast the 2 days have gone by so far, but I guess we'll start off with a brief introduction of kind of what Ri3D is and what it means to us and what we're doing here. I guess briefly, robot in 3 days, kind of there at a blanket statement, is we build a robot in 3 days. But a little bit more than that, we like to build a robot as to provide information, feedback to the entire FRC community, and hopefully just give the entire FRC community a head start, or just give them insight to the challenges for a lot of people that may not know where to start. And this is all meant to be not a, you need to do it this way. This is learn from our mistakes, learn from what we are doing. We're not going to get everything right. We're just a group of alumni that were in the program. But yeah, we all love doing this and we love what it does for the community. So yeah. Well, we can go ahead and jump right into our feeder. We're going to jump first into our end effector right here. This is kind of the prototype that we worked on. We disassembled it entirely, brought it back together. And this is kind of in the L1 position. This is going to be demonstrated of where on our robot, it's actually is really representative of this robot over here, of where the stowed position is. And this kind of represents what our L1 scoring position is going to look like. So I'm going to put the mic down and I'll let Corey do some talking while we go and do some scoring.
Yeah, so I guess I should narrate. In front of you is one side of the hexagon in the center of the field. Well, there's one for each half of the field. And we have these two reef tree segments, I guess. What we're going to go for now is scoring into the L1 trough area. And we thought that this was going to be pretty difficult with a coral scorer, which sort of ejects the coral straight down into the trough. We tried it out passively, and the coral bounced all over the place. But what we found was if you have a wheeled ejection mechanism and one of the rollers on one of the sides is spinning just slightly faster than the other one, you get sort of a sideways kick as the coral leaves your mechanism, and the coral almost always slides down into the trough and stays there. So we're going to show a few iterations of that. So you can see we have two sets of rollers. There are 2-inch rollers in the back and then 3-inch rollers in the front. And those are both compliant wheels from either AndyMark or ThriftyBot have the 2-inch compliant wheels. But you can see as the coral leave the effect of the 2-inch wheel and enter the effect of the 3-inch wheel, the speed difference between the two allows the coral to tilt inside of our mechanism and kind of drop sideways. Here's a more extreme speed difference, maybe. And then let's try to like stack up as many as we can on top of each other and just see what happens. So I believe that this coral, which is stood straight up, would still score and is good. It's probably less stable than a coral which is fully seated in the trough. If someone else comes up and knocks the coral out, one of your alliance members drops the coral, who knows? But that was a little bit of our end effector. Do you have anything else to say about it, Reese?
Yeah, I'll just go over a little bit of the specifics on what we got going here and kind of our geometry. On both sides of these rollers, so we've got the 2 inches on the back that are kind of like the rollers that are going to accept it from our hopper system. And then our 3-inch rollers on the front, those are going to be the ones that kind of eject it and help give it that spin to get us into L1. We're using the 3-inch AndyMark 35A wheels on the front, and we're maintaining a compression of 1/2 inch on both sides of the roller. So we have a 4-inch gap between both sets of rollers, regardless of the dimension there. Yeah, that about covers it for this prototype.
Awesome. Well, did we want to kind of segue into what our robot looks like right now and our progress on an elevator, and then where this mechanism, this ejector mechanism, will actually sit in the robot? So as you can see, since yesterday we've been busy building an elevator. This is a Thrifty bought 2-stage elevator kit, and for the most part it's entirely stock. We've only really changed one bracket, which is a motor mounting bracket, and we have some more details on that in one of our explainer videos, which, if it isn't out, will be out soon. Reese is showing right now the elevator going up and down and how it would look for a Coral sitting in our ejector device, sitting something like this. It'll be controlled by those wheels, which we just showed, and how that can score onto L4. I'm sure there will be lots of questions about dimensions for this elevator. I can run through some of our specs right now. We're planning on powering this elevator with two 20-to-1 sport gearboxes with Neo 1.1s. The width of the elevator outside of the 2x1 to outside of the 2x1 is 19.5 inches. The vertical segments of the stationary stage and the first stage are 36 inches tall. We do have a note. We're actually like a ½ inch to a ¼ inch above 42 inches. There was a discrepancy between the CAD we had and the CAD we used to manufacture. And so our elevator is technically able to extend an inch higher than it should be able to. But if Reese actually raises the elevator up right now, without that extra inch of extension, it would easily be able to have the Coral at a high enough position to score it. So that was an oopsie, but we don't really have the time or resources, mostly rivets, to fix that. But yeah, some other things about the elevator. We don't currently have the chain-driven mechanism on it or the motor gearboxes. That's something that we're going to be moving to put on right after this recap. But typically there is a chain sprocket axle on top, tying to two sport gearboxes which are mounted on either side of the frame. Like I said, we had to modify this one motor mounting plate. I can actually grab it, which comes in the Thrifty bot kit. And it's mostly because our frame is pretty narrow. We're using a 26-inch frame rather than a normal 28 or 30-inch frame. And so we don't have the width in order to fit a normal 20-to-1 sport gearbox there. Along with cutting down this bracket and sort of pushing the sport gearbox in towards the center of the robot a little bit more, we also have to cut the Neo motor shafts to get rid of that 3/4 inch block of the sport gearbox mechanism. I'm sure that there will be an explainer video going through all of those details once we wrap that up. But yeah, that's coming very soon.
Yeah, and I think to build off of what Corey was saying, a big lesson that we've learned from kind of going through our design process and kind of trying to package all the mechanisms that we want is packaging is going to be the biggest challenge this year. Being able to fit as much as you can with as little as you can in the smallest area possible is going to be a huge challenge, and don't underestimate it. We definitely tried to cram a lot in here. We definitely didn't achieve everything we wanted to, but I think we'll have a good product. Let's do it.
Sure.
So a couple questions coming in from chat here. Asking about the reef piece that you guys make. Can you describe a little bit more about that and how difficult was it to create?
Yeah, so the one on the left, the purple-ish one, is the official one from the field given to us by Andy Mark. So we're really grateful for that. It's been really nice to have like an official one that we can test with. The one on the right, we actually made in-house using the designs from the Thrifty bot. They actually sell a gusset kit to make all of the angled gussets that you can order on the thriftybot.com. But they also, in addition, have all of the CAD and the drawings for cutting those pieces. So if you want to cut them by hand, you can. Or if you have something like a CNC, it's really easy to do. And then they also have these 3D printed templates, which make the hole drilling really easy. so you can make it accurate and line up all your gussets.
Yeah, we actually ran to Menards this morning to go and get that PVC pipe to make that, so it's all accessible.
Save big money at Menards, right? So, a really good question from Soren Hubble coming in. Cranberry Alarm's going tank drive, which maybe we can talk a little bit more just on that decision, right? A lot of people ask why not swerve, that sort of thing. But how are you aligning to the branches with the tank drive, especially with less visible sides, trying to line side to side, that sort of thing?
I guess I can talk. So one of our considerations coming into this, and we've maintained this through the past couple years, is trying to make it accessible to everyone, especially when it comes to the drivetrain. Not some teams don't have as much resources, both financially, to be able to pay or buy their own swerve kits. They're kind of pricey sometimes, and everybody has, including rookies, has a tank drive kit or can get one. So it's something that we feel pretty strongly about. It's kind of like the minimum you need to do to have a robot. Everyone needs to drive. We thought, we still wanted to keep that kind of low bar so that we can show that even with the base drivetrain, you can still accomplish a lot and be a primary contributor to your alliance.
Two more questions just in this, and then we'll move on. From Alias, do you think going into the season we're going to see more use of generic elevators or COTS elevators or something more dynamic, maybe multiple degrees of freedom or rotation, things like that?
Yeah, I think like any year, we're going to get a wide variety of ideas and solutions that FRC teams come up with. Definitely a lot of unique ones that'll come out. Trust your gut, go through your own creative process and do what you think is best, and learn, fail, and do whatever you think is best to approach this game. I think there will be a lot of elevators. I think there will be a lot of double jointed arms, a lot of arms on elevators, a whole bunch of different solutions.
Yeah, I will say, and I was talking to some of them earlier, shout out to the Rust Hounds, another Ri3D team. They have a 2-stage elevator with a single jointed arm on it. So I think we'll see a lot of combinations like that too, where maybe for space considerations or other considerations, you don't want to just go all into one design. You might see combinations like that as well.
I just want to follow up too with the tank drive. In terms of aligning and stuff like that, do you think there's going to be any challenges for scoring with the tank drive?
So there have definitely been pick-and-place style games in the past. One that comes to mind is 2017, and a lot of people were still rolling with tank then. This is a very similar aligning task. You're lining up to a hexagon in the middle of the field to score on a sliver-like peg, and so I don't think that the tank drive is going to prohibit us from scoring pieces efficiently. It's going to be more efficient if you're able to strafe side to side, if you notice that you come in and you're off target a little bit. But I think one thing that people should look out for and think about this year, if they have the capability, is to use the April tags on the reef base to dynamically plan planner paths live in Teleop. I think that running autonomous paths in Teleop is a very viable strategy for something like a tank drive this year, where you're not able to just strafe side to side. The robot knows better than you where it is.
We're going to ask one more question, but before we do so, since we were talking about that awesome ThriftyBot elevator, let's do a giveaway from our friends at the ThriftyBot for a $25 ThriftyBot gift card. Your keyword is going to be Nova. Type that in chat. Nova is your keyword for a new device that they have on the ThriftyBot.com. Go learn all about everything ThriftyBot has to offer at the ThriftyBot.com. If you are a YouTube subscriber, by the way, absolutely free to do. Click that button. You get 3 times luck to win. Type Nova in chat. We'll draw for that a little bit. Our last question before we move on, and we'll grab more questions later, from Tim Aurelian. It says, in your CAD model, the end effectors were connected to the carriage of the elevator, but extended up. There could be a lot of stress on bearings. Is the system stabilized in a different way that we couldn't see in the CAD model?
Yeah, I mean, what you're looking at right now, we are cantilevering from the initial carriage a little bit. Our goal, we think that it should be able to withstand the forces that we put upon it, but we're going to have to put it together and see how it really performs to really know for sure. Awesome. So we can go ahead and move over to the back to the reef. We can take a look at algae and our interactions with that. So I'll go ahead and let you guys take the handle there, and I'll go ahead and talk over while we're doing that. We can get one of the algae right here. Let's first kind of just like talk about the algae and its interaction with the reef and kind of how it stays in there. And for the most part, these things are pretty well in there. And I know we kind of, with the PVC, it does shake a little bit, kind of prohibiting it. But even with the steel one, it kind of shows pretty, representatively that these are held in pretty nicely. Even when you come in from the bottom and just kind of hit it, even though they have the slopes here, it still kind of just holds it really well. Even if I'm pushing up kind of hard, I could roll it out. But if I'm just pushing up, I'm not getting a whole lot out of it. Even coming from the bottom, kind of just seats itself in further. And it seems like what we're seeing here is that if you do hit these kind of inside the reef, it kind of lodges itself in different positions. Like I can get this to, essentially, like if I go down here, I know I can get it to lodge in an upper position like that. And now I'm free to down here, so it's no longer touching there. So I think these will kind of move around a little bit, and they like to grip themselves inside there. So we'll kind of go ahead and move into our solution that we kind of came up with, just a single active roller that'll go in there. And right here we have the bottom style. This kind of comes in and touches it. And we tried a couple different areas. We kind of found that the best place that it works at is right around the outer edge, like right around in this area right here. It seems to grab it really well and pop it out, just like that. Yeah, and we are moving a little bit to it. One of you guys mind holding the back of it real quick? And we did try. Let's go and show the top of it. The top of it, when we go on the top, it seems to work extremely well. But for our design, we chose that we were going to go from the bottom of it, just because how everything's going to fit into our design criteria and whatnot. Put that right back there. But let's go ahead and show right now. We don't have a double roller, but let's go and show from one. We do it from the side. Go and turn the rollers vertically. Yeah. Let's try like that. See how that does. This will be our first time seeing it also. There did okay. This one might be a little bit harder to finesse in there. There you go. So it seems like the top and bottom style roller seems to have a bit of a better job grabbing it, as especially from the bottom, it kind of rotates around a point up here, and when you're on the top, it rotates around these points here to kind of just roll it out. So ultimately, this is kind of what we will be going with for our de-algifying reef score to go ahead and get the algae off the reef.
Really good question just came in from Bilal. So can the algae be removed when there's 2 corals on level 4 already?
Oh, that is a very good question. Let's go ahead and try that out.
We initially had some questions about, you can actually see, depending on how the algae sits in there, a coral scored on L4 can almost be touching the algae. Of course, we're not rolling with actual field elements here. We have one of them, but the base is not official field, and the other reef segment is not official field. So we're not entirely sure how that interaction is going to work, but it does get pretty close to touching the algae in some scenarios. But yeah, let's actually try and do the same thing with coral scored on L4. So I guess it didn't seem to have really any issue pushing the coral up a little bit. And here's from the top. Let's try that one more time. So I think the answer is no, there's no real complications getting the algae out if there are coral scored on L4, at least for the mechanism which we've prototyped and shown here.
In a previous video, you all were testing a few different types of wheels for removing on it. Have you found that one has worked better than the other? Or what were kind of some of the results of that?
Ultimately, kind of the balls have a lot of give to them. So ultimately, anything that I think the best wheel for this may ultimately be like a 4-inch stealth wheel, because these game objects are really big, and something that doesn't compress as much might be really effective. We tried the 3-inch compliant wheels, and those worked amazingly. We just did the 4-inch urethane wheels from ThriftyBot, and those also worked great. So I think there's a pretty wide range, variety of wheels that may work effectively for this.
Question from Eric Olowski coming in. Do you have a plan on how you're going to articulate the algae remover? Like, how's that process actually going to work?
Yeah. We can kind of elaborate on that a little bit more. We actually have the pieces made and didn't quite make it on the robot for the recap tonight. But we will be basically having our algae mechanism attached right here, basically kind of hanging, but it'll be actuated via motor control and whatnot. And what we're going to do is we're going to actuate just out of the frame perimeter just a little bit. Kind of move out just a little bit like that. And we found that kind of from our testing results that if I grab the algae real quick, we really don't need to go very far outside of the frame perimeter to really pull the algae out. If we kind of pan over here to the reef, we noticed that this front edge right here sticks about 2 inches outside of the base right here. So you really don't need to go very far outside of your frame perimeter to reach the algae, and especially with our roller, we noticed that grabbing near this edge, we got really good results. So we don't need to go that far out to hopefully grab it, and it'll be a very quick actuation.
Question from Sam Moore. Do you have a recommended speed difference for your intake wheels that you found works best?
Pulling the trigger halfway and not pulling the trigger the full way. We really don't know. We know that the function works, and that we'll be able to tune that when we get some control on it.
I will say real quick, we've done it a ton in between filming videos and testing and prototyping things, and the human variability alone gives us like a huge range of differences, and they basically all work. So there's probably some sweet spots somewhere, but I don't think it's going to be like spend 10 hours dialing it in or anything. I think you're going to get pretty good use very quickly.
We'll ask a couple more questions and we'll keep moving on. And then we are going to draw from the giveaway from the Thrifty Bot. So type Nova in for that $25 Thrifty Bot gift card. Miller NASA asks, have you done any CG testing, especially when the elevator's up for level 4?
Not really. We all have some big concerns about the top heaviness of this robot. But, that's something that we just kind of got to roll with and see how it is when we build it.
Cloud Cake, following up on your level 4 testing with the Coral, have you done level 2 or level 3 testing with Coral on? Is there any difference or anything like that?
Yeah, we didn't really do a whole lot in terms of testing. We did kind of just some throwing of it. And we kind of noticed that any angle that's advantageous for scoring on L4 will be even more advantageous for scoring on L3 and L2, especially with our angle and our slope. It kind of just goes directly in there. We're almost perpendicular to the spoke. So we really haven't fully tested that because we kind of have pretty high confidence that it should work out.
Let's draw for our gift card winner from the Thrifty Bot. Once again, it was a $25 Thrifty Bot gift card at thethriftybot.com. If you are drawn, please go to funderboxnetwork.com. Scroll to the bottom, click the giveaway winner to fill out your information for that. The winner of this is going to be Shane Lambing. Congratulations, Shane Lambing. You have won that $25 Thrifty Bot gift card. Thanks a lot to thriftybot.com for that giveaway. And we're going to start our next giveaway right away, too, while we keep going from our friends at AndyMark. And that's for a $25 AndyMark gift card. Type in Coors, Koors, for the Coors 40 motor controller that they have. And, of course, in memory of the founder of AndyMark as well, too, Mark Coors. So Koors is your keyword for a $25 AndyMark gift card.
Awesome. Well, the last thing that we really wanted to highlight is just kind of show we haven't really highlighted our hopper system or our intake for the Coral. So we'll go ahead and show that, just kind of illustrate it, how it kind of is going to look on this robot. Go and do a 180. And our elevator also, you might notice, is pretty floppy right now. We only have a few bolts in it right now as we're just kind of showing it for the recap, but we hope to get more in there to make it a little bit more rigid. You can kind of see right here, this is the position of the hopper as it's coming in. We're going to have our hopper right here that's going to redirect it and change the angle of it. So this is about a 35-degree angle coming down right here. We're going to redirect it to about, I believe it's 12.5 degrees. That's going to hit there. And then eventually be redirected or whatnot into our feeder system that can be accepted by our indexing rollers. So we'll hopefully be building that next and hopefully have that on there pretty soon.
We thought that it was very advantageous for all of the active components to be, or to minimize the active components required to intake the Coral. If we had a set of rollers on the ramp, accepting it into our robot, and then another to pass through to our ejector, and then active wheels on the ejector, you've got a lot of stages. You have to worry about sequencing. So we're going for very simple It's a static ramp. It's going to funnel the coral into our the rollers that we've already shown, and that's how we're going to index the game piece.
And one kind of challenge that we've kind of approached is, like he said, with the staging. When we're hitting the coral coming in here, it's going to hit this spot here, and then from there we're going to basically bring it into our robot. And if we held it within our frame perimeter and we raised up, we would eventually hit this wall right here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have some special programming to basically know that the game piece is right here and move it forward a couple of inches to basically bypass this bar right there. So that's one, design sacrifice we had. It would be amazing to avoid something like that, but ultimately to be able to have the hopper system, we had to push the elevator forward, and ultimately that's where we landed at.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of tie up some loose end questions that we have. So we'll speed around these just a little bit on here. So can you talk more about your decision not to intake from the floor for coral or algae? Yeah,
so we noticed that there was 60 coral behind the human player stations, and there was 2 human player stations available for each alliance. So that kind of told us that, if we feel confident in our ability that anytime a game piece goes into our robot, we should score it, then we feel that there's a pretty high possibility that we wouldn't need to be able to pick up game pieces. Obviously, the 3 at the start of a match, that would be really effective to score an auto. But for us, we thought this would be the best way to get a most competitive robot for the least amount of effort. As I believe that ground pickup for this game may be a bit of a challenge, just dealing with the different orientations of the game piece and orient it for scoring. With this, the human player controls the orientation of the game piece, so it makes it easier on us.
A quick addition to that, I think a little bit of a lesson learned too from us from 2 years ago. We didn't build the human feeder station, and so we decided to go full into the ground intake thing, and then we came to find out during the season really that the human feeder station was the way to go, and ground intakes were okay, but the human feeder station being protected and having a known orientation and location for game pieces is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain more the decision to go through the elevator? Cryptic Toast asks, why go through the elevator for a game piece maybe versus a wider acquisition or a wider way of doing it?
So I guess for our acquisition, we're actually going to be have our hopper on this backside. That's you can check out the CAD because the CAD kind of still has a Crayola model in it, kind of illustrating it. But it has our hopper is kind of flared out, so that we can have about 24 inches wide of acceptance. So the human player on this side can, move either which way, whichever our robot comes in, we can still have a wide acquisition zone. Well, I'll go and re-explain what we just said, but I guess related to the cage, we really kind of decided that this was going to be a low priority for us, as we knew that coral is going to be our first priority, algae was going to be our second priority, and from there we knew that was going to be a big challenge within 3 days. So we've given it a little bit of thought, and Corey, if you go ahead and lift up the elevator a little bit, we thought about maybe potentially, if we have time, adding hooks to the bottom of the first stage here, that we can then go and grab the shallow cage, and maybe being close enough into our robot, that'd be close enough to our center of gravity, we won't tilt so much. That's all something we'll have to play with, and if we have time for, as depending on how our Ri3D goes, we always run into some issues, right?
Okay, let's grab a couple last questions on here. So have you guys talked anything about algae in the processor or anything like that?
Say again?
Have you talked about putting algae into the processor at all?
No, I guess we really haven't, but we really kind of noticed that if we want to, the biggest place to get algae is going to be from the reef, as the reef has 6 scoring opportunities for us. So we had a little bit of a prototype going that showed how we were going to acquire the game piece, but we had to take it apart for other reasons. But right here, how our de-algifying is going to work is we're going to pull the algae off the reef, and then we'll kind of hold it at this location. We're not going to bring it into our robot as packaging becomes an issue, but we will hold it right around here, and from there that'll allow us to drive over to the processor, and we simply just eject, and hopefully that gets us a good score.
So let's talk about plans for tonight, where you want to be by the time we get to tomorrow. For those who don't know, the stream just ends when it ends, right? So there's not necessarily a set time. We will be back at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and I have our Monday recap on 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern, sorry, which, by the way, make sure you tune in because there tends to be between now and then a tremendous amount of progress going into that. So where do you guys want to be tonight, though? What's kind of your next steps?
Yeah, big thing for us. We want to have the entire robot mechanically done tonight. We made a lot of good progress. We finished the entire design for the most part, not entire design, but we finished to a really good point. So we want to finish our de-algifying mechanism. We want to finish our end effector, and we want to finish our hopper assembly, and then also get the elevator fully assembled and not fully assembled, fully attached and rigidly on there. I'll pass off to you, Jordan.
Sure, yeah. One other thing we've been working on kind of behind the scenes is getting everything set up from the code standpoint, ready for when the robot's ready to run. So, getting motor controllers configured, getting subsystems set up and things like that. So it's something, we want to work on kind of behind the scenes tonight so that as soon as the robot is mechanically done, we're ready to hit the ground running and actually start running things.
And Jordan, any thought in what kind of autonomous modes you're looking at running? Can you maybe walk us through a couple?
Yeah, so we're starting kind of simple. Probably just scoring one coral and driving towards the algae that's set up in the back. A key thing for us is being able to at least move and score one coral ourselves. Similar to 2018, with the auto RP, we feel it's really good and really important for a team to be able to score a coral on their own so that if their partners can't, they can be the one that guarantees that RP. So, a lot of teams are able to at least drive. So if you can be the one to score that coral, even if you score nothing else, if you drive that one, just drive there and score the one coral, that's a huge bonus. One RP is a lot. Even with 6 full RP, if you get one more RP every match, it's going to boost you in the rankings much higher.
Before Ri3D started, though, we did work with our drivetrain to get path planner set up. So that's a capability that we have in our back pocket to, after we have a consistent, reliable auto, which is going to get us that RP, maybe explore some more advanced autos and kind of look at if we can be more versatile for potential alliance partners so that they are able to run their standard default autos and maximize points in auto.
Just a quick and Tom's question that came in. Are you looking at doing any sort of vision on this robot?
So I think right now it's up in the air. It's something that would be amazing if we could get to it. I don't think it would be a huge lift for us to get there with code that we have in the past, drawing from 1741, using limelights. This year is pretty nice for April tag location as far as scoring on the reef and de-algifying, which is a lot of where you're going to need precision. And so a camera low on your robot pointed straight forwards is going to get some amazing April tag camera footage, and your bot's going to be able to locate itself well. So it's something that we believe we would be able to do if we have the time.
Let's go and draw for the giveaway winner for, once again, the $25 AndyMark gift card. Coors, K-O-R-S, was your keyword for a $25 gift card to AndyMark.com. If you do win, please go to FunRoboxNetwork.com and click the link in order to claim that giveaway. Some great Globetrotter skills going on by Reese over there. So the winner of that is going to be, hey, Scott Miller. Lots of rigged emails for Scott, please. Congratulations, Scott. It tends to be a perpetual winner here on Fun. So congratulations, Scott. We clearly rigged it for you. Get in touch and we'll make sure you get that giveaway. So congratulations, Scott. Ri3D team, any last things before we head out?
I don't think so. Stay tuned. We're going to be here late. We might be snowed in here. I don't know if you guys know. It's snowing a lot in Indiana right now. I haven't taken a look outside.
It's probably like 10 inches or so, I would say, huh?
Yeah. I probably scraped off a good 6 inches from my car earlier, so it's building up. Like Reese said, we want to get the robot entirely mechanically done, and then after that comes a lot of work to get everything wired and controls-wise functioning. But by the end of tonight, we're hoping to have a very good-looking robot.
Well, Ri3D team, Cranberry Alarm, congrats on your progress so far. We look forward to seeing what you continue to do. We're going to let them get back to work here. Like I said, the stream's still going, so if you got more questions, you can always ask in chat. and we'll bring those up. Don't forget, we have tons of explainer videos and even more coming out. I'm sure we're going to be recording 1 or 2 tonight as well, too. They'll be going to Fun Robotics Network on YouTube, so keep an eye out for that or on the Chief Delphi thread. And there are other Ri3D teams. Give a shout out to a bunch of other teams that are currently building and inspiring teams and stuff, too. So make sure you check out all the other cool build progresses going on, and the teams from the Open Alliance are also documenting their build progress. So we'll get back to it. Good luck the rest of the way, and thanks, everybody, for tuning in.